Well, good morning. Welcome back again. David Fleming with Century 21. Whew. Man, I tell you what, when I tell you to sit back and grab a glass of iced tea and relax, you know what? Today's the day. I have been blessed to actually sit down with my good friend Joe Rosen today, and he's been a mentor. He's been a coach. We met on New Year's Eve. I called into Ricky Carruth's show, and I was so nervous that I don't even know if I even said any words properly that night. But let me introduce you real quick to Joe. Let me bring him in the picture real quick. Let me introduce you to Joe now. I wrote down a couple of things before I even get started, man. Joe, when I tell you I'm going to bring you people that are of high quality, high ethics, heart of a teacher, man, it doesn't get any bigger than that for this gentleman to me.
Oh, man.
I can't believe how much time he's put into me and hasn't asked for anything. I hasn't expected anything.
That's not true.
He really just truly wants to help people.
I want you to succeed.
He does have high expectations, and we're going to get into that.
Yeah.
Right, Joe? We're going to definitely get into that today. But let me tell you a little bit about him, why you want to listen to him. He's a high producer when it comes to real estate. And he's a high producer when it comes to anything. He's got a 10-year military career where he led, oh my goodness, I don't know how many men, hundreds of men on, what was it, 150 combat missions in Afghanistan. He started his real estate career up north, then moved to Florida. And I don't even think he's been there. How many weeks you been there, Joe? In Florida?
I think this is week 39. It's 39 or 40.
Yeah. 39. He's already in the top 10%. And he's going to correct me because I know exactly that he knows his numbers, exactly what his competition is and where he sits. So he's at the top of that. Now, this is just the beginning, people. Get ready for this. He runs a accountability group for Facebook. He has he does at least 3 to 4 videos a day. Not a week, a day. He's started his own business with EXP, jumped ship for where he was at before because I think it was just more financially stable for he and his family. He has a schedule that is stupid. I'm telling you, stupid. Whenever I get to actually talk to him, which is not very often, normally he just sends me an audio message. He tells me, hey, Dave, I got 4 minutes. And you got 3.5 of them. Let's go. That's how driven this guy is. Now, not to say he doesn't have a big heart, because if you got a problem, man, we've spent a little time on the phone. He's going to spend some time with you. So what I want to do is I want to dig in behind that bald head of his, and I want to dig in on what makes him tick. Because there's some things that he's taught me at 49 that he's taught me that have really made a difference in not just business, but who I am and where I'm heading. It's changed my trajectory. And hopefully, because we're going to go into the mental today, I'm just going to warn you, we're going to go into the mental part of the mind today, behind the action. Hopefully that helps you, because all I want to do is help people, whether it's helping people in real estate, or whether it's helping my friends that are real estate agents, or whether it's the people that are watching this. You're all my friends. You know me. I know you. I just want to help. So let's see if I missed anything. For coaches, you do free coaching, right? You got 2 beautiful girls. And here's another thing I got to tell you before we get into it. If they come in when he's doing a video, I've never seen him show them away. Never. He always stops what he's doing, acknowledges their presence, and acknowledges that they are important to him, spends just a second with it, and then he'll get right back into it. And he's a devoted and loving husband as well. He loves his girl, right? You see any of his posts on Facebook, it's not going to be too long till you get something on his girl. And I'm sorry, it should be his wife, but I call my wife my girl, so we'll just go from there. So welcome, Joe, right? Welcome.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I tell you what, I don't know if that was too long, but I really don't care, man. We're just friends today talking. So today, I mean, the subject is preparation versus productivity. And just take the blankety blanket hill. I mean, you're really military. You were in 10 years. I wasn't in very long. But that sense of just suck it up and do it.
Yeah.
Quit thinking about it. That's drilled into you very quickly. But what I want to get into today is the mindset behind it of what enables you to do that, because that just doesn't happen. People twist mentally and they get scared, or they're scared of failure or fear of success. I think a lot of times it's just freaking laziness, to be honest with you. They don't want to put in the hard work. But I want to get into the mental part of it, because I know you're big on the mental. So let me do this. Let me get them to get to know you a little bit. So I'm going to do the first question. Watch this. You ready for this? Uh-oh, look at that. The ticker changed. So number one, motivation. Man, you show up motivated every morning at 7-Eleven. I'm in this group that I told you about. And this dude, he spends normally about 3 minutes and is stoked. So yes, you're stoked, and there's a difference between motivation and productivity and being effective. But where does that come from? And what's the genesis behind it? Tell me a little bit about your upbringing, because that's probably where it came from.
I had a pretty normal upbringing. I think that in the Army, I have seen the best and worst soldiers that I've ever had. And this is probably true in life. I just had so many soldiers in the Army that you see that your best soldiers are generally those who had really horrible upbringings, but they figured out a way to get over it. But you also see your worst soldiers tend to be the ones who had really horrible upbringings. And all the ones who had nice average upbringings like me tend to be pretty average. I mean, it wasn't so bad that they had anything to struggle through, and it wasn't so bad that it beat them up. So they ended up being horrible. They're just kind of average. For me, I had a really average parent. Like, my parents were pretty average. They brought me up very average. I went to average schools. We had average money. We had an average life. We went on average vacations. I don't know where it probably started with just pure competitiveness came from, but I will say I was big into sports. I was only really good at football. I played other things, but I wasn't really good at them. But I was a way better leader than I was a football player. And my coach will tell me that. I'm really good friends with my coach still to this day. He's one of the greatest leaders I've ever had. And he mentored me immensely in high school. I remember I took he was also the PE teacher. So I took as many PE classes as I could, just because I wanted to be around that guy. I wanted to soak in the way he thought. But he was incredibly influential. And he would always tell me, Joe, we had about 50 kids on the team. He said, you're good enough. You'll start both ways, but it's pretty much because you're a great leader. That's why we're keeping you in all of these positions. There are better players than you. And it's so true. At a much lesser extent at the high school level, I was kind of like Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning's my favorite player ever. That dude, other than his arm, has zero physical capabilities, but he puts so much time in behind the scenes that he makes up for all that and more by being impressive with his mind, with his leadership skills, getting everybody else on board and getting them to produce. And I just wanted to mimic that same leadership style. And I don't know if it started with football, but that's kind of the first place that I really noticed it. And when I came out of high school, I went to college. Lost all my drive. I wouldn't say I lost my drive, but my drive was to party, right? And you can't really measure that. I just partied. And trust me, I was very good at it. And then I got into real estate in my 20s. And I was doing really well. Money-wise, I was probably making 150 grand. I was in the top 2% there. And even with all those sales, I was blowing all that money on women and drugs and drinking, and just it didn't. I could have made $1 million a year. It didn't matter. No matter what I made, it was all going to me having what I perceived to be a fun time. And I don't regret that time at all. I think kind of like the kids who have the bad upbringing. If you don't have the bad upbringing and you don't know what horribleness looks like, you don't have anything to overcome. And for me, if I didn't know what it was I could do, if I let myself loose a little bit, I wouldn't respect and appreciate the habits and the discipline that I have now. So, after seeing years and years of me making money and literally just continuing to rack up credit card debt because I had zero discipline, my wife's best friend, we were not married at that time, had come home from it was like a 22-month deployment in Iraq. And we went out and had a good time. And the next morning I asked her about 3 hours of questions about the Army. And it just really inspired me, all the discipline she had and she knew what she was doing in a year and 5 years and 10 years. And I was like, man, that's amazing. I'm running a business making well into 6 figures, and all I'm doing is going into debt. Like whatever I'm doing, it's not working. So
How were you there? How were you there? How, sorry? How were you?
How old was I? I was probably, well, I got in the Army in 2009, so that would have been 11 years ago. So I would have been 27.
Okay, I'm going to call a timeout. You see me do this all the time. People, think about this. This guy's killing it. Where most people would say, hey, man, I made it. I'm making $150,000 a year. So what that I'm blowing it? Everybody else is blowing it. Live for today because tomorrow we die. Something within him says, I need to do better. This isn't good enough. So he found somebody at 27. That's when most people were getting out of the Army, not going in, right? Yeah. Most people going like I did at 19 or 20, and because they didn't have any other options, and they need to do something because their parents were going to kick them out or they're going to go to jail or something. That's not Joe. Joe went, my process isn't working because I know you, Joe. My process isn't working. Something needs to change. So at 27, he decides, and I'm getting ready to throw it back to you. You know what? This person's got it going on. How long did it take you to make that decision, Joe, to go in the military once you met it?
Dude, I was at MEPS the next day. I'm a decisive person. If I see something that works, I don't even care if I'm not perceiving it correctly. We're going to try it right now and either succeed now or fail now so I can get on to the next thing now.
Yeah. Now, pinpoint that, people. Pinpoint that because there's a theme coming. Now, and if you think about it, the people that you know that are successful in life, they have that. They see something that's successful. They look at it, and yes, they're going to do a little bit of research, but then it's we got to go.
Yes,
we got to go. I got to do this. I got to try it, and we'll talk about failure here real quick. Go ahead, Joe.
So I was in the Army, and you brought up my old age at 27. It doesn't sound that old. I assume you got a lot of agents watching. But out of my 50-person platoon, I was the third oldest there. My poor battle buddy was 40. And so we got through basic training. I was an Arabic linguist, went and worked at the National Security Agency, just being a nerd, right? Translating documents for the National Security Agency. That was the first half of my career. The second half, I was a staff sergeant, so that's a decent amount of rank. And I went out to Washington State to it was an intel brigade, but they had a combat focus. So I'm coming in with all this rank, all these accolades, great reviews, and I don't know anything about combat. And I'd never seen a Humvee. I'd never seen a chopper. I'd never seen any of that. And they said, cool, you're going to be in charge of operations. And I was like, listen, I'll do anything you want, but I'm telling you, there are specialists. Like a specialist is a low ranking. So I know you know that. I said, these guys know more than I do because I came from Nerdville where all we do is translate documents and do reports. I can do nerdy stuff really well, but I'm not a combat guy. And they said, you'll figure it out. And I did. And I had all the ambition in the world. And for 6 months, I was probably the worst operations NCO you'd ever seen. But it was the best position I could have had when it comes to learning. And I learned a lot about failing forward and just absolutely giving it your all and crushing and not caring about the outcome, only caring about the intent that goes in and the picture that you're drawing, constantly amending in front of you and just keep building, man. And you're going to fail. And the only way you find success is to fail, 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 succeed, fail, 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 succeed. If you're worried about all those failures, you're never going to get to the success because every success takes a load of failures. So I got those 10 years in, and it was about a year before I got out. I decided I was going to get into real estate again because I missed it. I loved it. I love business. I love competition. Yep. And I love, like in this industry, there's so many levels, making it to where I know I'm not going to go hungry is maybe making 50, 60, 70 grand a year. That is a milestone for some people. 6 figures is a milestone for people, right? Now I can say I'm doing okay. And honestly, if you're doing 6 figures, you're probably in the top, 3, 4, 5%. There's not a lot of agents who are making that money. But really, it's not that challenging to make 3, 4, 500 grand if you keep doing it and you do it consistent over time and you've got systems and you keep doing them every day. Like nothing that you really do is. I've been in the Army, so for me, none of this stuff is tough. It's just a lot of people find the distractions much more entertaining short term, and they don't have the right mentors in place. They don't know. They don't see the connections between doing the little tiny easy things every day consistently and over the long run, getting that cookie, that treat, that treasure at the end, because they'd never seen it before. So that's, you asked me about my childhood. That's, I guess, my whole right there.
So you actually already went into number 2. That's why it's going across the ticker right there.
Sorry about that.
And I'm telling you, man, we think a lot alike. I am humbled to be in the presence of the people that the Lord's blessed me with. It's really amazing because I think the same way. In fact, I just did a video on it yesterday about failing, and that's what I want to talk to you about right now about. I know there's an embarrassment. This is where I want to get into the middle. I know there's an embarrassment with failure, but I've never been fearful of failure because I'm going to change it real quick. I was in Scouts before Scouts went crazy, and I had this gentleman, and he was trying to teach his boys, "Oh, no, you don't fail." I was like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "That's where because we'd always sit at the end of the evening, and we'd sit around the fire, just us guys, because all the kids are asleep." I was like, "What are you talking about?" This is a good friend of mine. I was, "What are you teaching your kids?" And he's a successful dude, right? Very, very successful. He got short man disease, but he's very successful. And I was like, that's where all the lessons are learned. The lessons aren't learned in the success where you achieve. It's whenever you fall on your face and you got to figure out how to get up again. Man, I love failing now. It took me, because of, in your 20s and 30s, you want to be recognized and not be an idiot and all that stuff that really doesn't freaking matter. But once you get past all that, man, I love failing. I spent the last 6 weeks failing my face off. So I think you might have already went into it a little bit. Tell me, and maybe it's a different one then. Tell me about your biggest failure. The one that hurt the most, but let me finish real quick. The one that hurt the most, but that was probably the one that was the best building blocks to get you to where you are now. Yeah. Talk about that one real quick in the mental part of it, please.
I definitely will. And before I do, I want to touch on something you talked about with your buddy and him telling the kids they absolutely will not fail. I think there's kind of 2 mindsets around that, right? Like, I think his mindset is you need to put in the effort. You need to have the intent. You need to come at it. You need to grind. You need to work. And if you're not putting in all that work and you fail, that is a true failure. You should feel bad about that. There's no pride in that. But absolutely, you're right. If you're putting in all the effort, you're putting in all the work, you're trying, part of that success process is the small failures along the way. And you absolutely should not be embarrassed. I mean, I don't even have brain waves anymore that feel embarrassment. I just don't care because I'm thinking, what's the next step? And it's all ones and zeros to me. If I succeed, I keep doing it. If I fail, I do something else. And that's it. And I just ones and zeros. Fail, do something else. Succeed, keep doing it. That's it. And you just do that really fast. So
most people just want to do the same thing over and over again. You notice that?
Or nothing at all. Nothing at all doesn't hurt my ego. I'm not failing. And doing the same thing over and over is comfortable. Again, is it laziness or is it laziness plus ego? I think ego plays a big part in a lot of this. We could talk for days about ego. With my biggest failure, I mean, obviously, I was in my mid-20s. I was in peak health, like everything. I didn't have a family, which means I had nothing but time. I could work 7 days a week. I wasn't getting burned out. I still love it. There's no burnout in me. I could do this literally 25 hours a day. But I was, for whatever reason, inspired by partying. And I don't know where that comes from, but for me, that was the end goal. It wasn't the money. Literally, the money was to get the partying. I mean, I don't know that money is ever the end game. I think even now the money is so I can buy employees and marketing, and it's always just to grow. It's competitive now. Yeah. But if I've never gone through all those failures and felt that pain, felt that debt, felt how it weighed down on me, and how I always wanted that treasure at the end, but I could never get it because I kept making really dumb short-term decisions. I don't think it would be as easy now to stay as disciplined as I am.
Yep. I'm with you. All right, so let's move on. Preparation. It goes without saying you need to prepare. It'd be foolish to start acting without doing some type of preparation. What does that look like to you? What stages is it? Right? What is the process? Because, dude, let me talk to people again. When I'm talking about this guy has a process and he's addicted. And some people say it. My wife would say, like she's talking to me this morning, Dave, you might say that you're driven. I say you're obsessed. This man really is driven when it comes to process. He loves the process. The results will happen. But tell me about that on the preparation. Tell me what that looks like for you.
I don't think anybody who's ever had any success would argue that if you come prepared, if you have a process, if you have a system, and part of that system has to be always stepping back and looking and assessing the system also for improvement, that you're going to find more success. So for me, everything you do, I want to be the best. Reputation is huge. So I run a networking group. I started a networking group here. Before I go into that, I've got time blocked off every single Monday to prepare. So when I show up on Tuesday morning, nobody is more ready for that meeting than me. But everybody, so what feeds me? Why would I keep doing that? Because when I leave that meeting on Tuesdays, everybody's like, Joe, what you said was amazing. And that really helped me. I appreciate you connecting me with this person. I saw the numbers on this. I'd never seen those numbers. But when you showed them to me, it made me want to do this. When I am doing things that push other people to want to be bigger, do better, grow faster, it makes you want to prepare more, to be better more. And none of that preparedness is going to happen unless you put a block of time on your schedule to do it. So when you fail, failing is fine one time. That's kind of the motto in this office. If you fail once, no problem. Go do it. Fail all the time. But if you fail at the same thing twice, you drop the ball on building a process to improve on that, whatever that failure was, and come on, pick it up. And that goes for me too. The same standards apply to me that apply to everybody else. So anytime we drop the ball, we have a daily meeting every morning. It's at 8:30, and we always talk about the one or two failures from the last day. And it doesn't. Some days there's a whole bunch of them. Some days you kind of got to make them up because we had a pretty good day. But the intent is, it's that little bit of constant striving to be better and improve constantly every day.
That kind of, if you really think about it, that goes to embrace the suck.
Oh, yeah.
Because part of the process is the failure. And you have to enjoy it, because if you're not comfortable, I know you, other people don't that are watching this maybe, but if you don't enjoy the process of failing and getting better, you're not going to get better.
Yeah.
Because guess what? It sucks. With stuff I'm going through right now, man, it sucks. Because me, everything I'm doing is for the first time right now. And people, when I say I feel like I'm running through quicksand, it feels like I am mentally incapable of starting the task that I'm trying to start, because I'm doing it for the first time at 49. And I keep telling myself, yeah, but you don't know. Well, if somebody else didn't know, what did they have to do? They had to do the same thing you're doing. So suck it up, because it pisses me off when my mind doesn't, what I'm saying? When I get weak, makes me mad. So suck it up, deal with it, and then just get through it, learn from it. What could I have done to make sure that didn't take as long? but learn from it so you can teach it to somebody else. So, I mean, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to learn everything right now so I don't have to do it, and I can pay somebody else to do it so I can do what I need to do to make money. But that's part of the process of embracing the suck of life's about being uncomfortable. Talk to me, because I know that's a huge passion of yours, about being uncomfortable or being comfortable being uncomfortable. There you go.
Yeah, that's my motto this year is being comfortable, get comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think it starts with, I can't speak for all brothers, but I think a lot of brothers kind of grow up beating on each other, and who had it worse, who did dad spank the hardest, who had to work the longest, who had to carry the heaviest bag of feed when we were feeding the animals in the morning. And it was always who had it worse. And whoever had it worse, it wasn't that you were crying about it. You were beating your chest about it. Like, I'm the man. I had to deal with the worst situation, and you guys are weak. That was kind of the implication, right? And so it became a competition of who can put themselves into the worst situations, but you got to come out of it with the face of, but I don't care. It doesn't matter. So we used to beat on each other. We used to drown each other. We oh my gosh, the things we do to each other, but it just becomes ingrained in you to just embrace it. And then when you get into the military, it's the same thing. Nobody brags about their cushy job. You brag about going to combat. You brag about getting shot at. You brag about how you had to sit on a mission you thought was going to be 3 days, but it ended up being 3 weeks, and you didn't have enough food, and you didn't have water, and they were mortaring you every 8 hours, and that's what you brag about. And so I really take that same mentality into my business. And, I'm a big cold caller. And I genuinely think that is the lifeblood of any agent who doesn't have a team's business. Unless you're spending 50 plus grand on some sort of marketing thing that I don't know about, you have to make those cold calls. And it sucks. It's high rejection. It's not fun. It's boring. But for me, because I got a big personality, so for me, I get bored really quick, but I turn it into dude, the worse this is, and the more people tell me to screw off, and the more vulgar the language, and just the better it is, the more I love it.
Yeah. So let's go into a little bit on the mental side, because 6 weeks of being in the house.
Is that how long it's been?
I'm going. And you don't know what productivity, that's the part of the biggest thing that I went through of what does productivity look like whenever you're new and you're not showing people houses, how do you know you've done enough during the day? So the mind is, you start really thinking about the why behind the mind, not the why of why you want to do stuff. You figure that out in 2 minutes, but the why of why is the mind built the way that it's built? Because we naturally want to quit when it gets hard. We want to move. We got to move from here, and man, it gets hard. We got to move over here.
Yeah.
But then after a while, because that fight or flight, we go back to, oh heck no, now it's time to fight. But then very quickly we go back. The mind goes back to, oh, but no, that's too hard. I can't do it. You know what I'm saying? But then there's people that take that, and like you're talking about, it's more ingrained because of things that you've put yourself through over and over again, like a callus. But most people that are watching this, they're like, no. Yeah, they might say it. Joe, you deal with this all the time because you talk to I don't know how many people a day that they give you lip service. Yeah, I'm going to do that, Joe. And you're like, before you get off, they're never going to do this.
Yeah.
But why does the mind? I'm perplexed at the mind of. You would think it'd be the opposite. Of, man, I got to survive. I've got to figure this out. And so to do that, whenever adversity comes, you would think the mind would be set towards, I'm going to conquer this freaking thing.
Yeah.
But that's not how the mind works normally.
Well, I think it's a couple things. Number one, I think it's logic versus emotion. I think that logically, you and I would say you need to door knock, you need to cold call, you need to hold opens, you need to whatever, right? You need to get in front of clients. But then emotions kick in and say, man, I'm going to get rejected. I'm going to get told no. I'm going to be annoying. I don't want to do that. And so you justify with logic your emotions. So you'll say, well, actually, it's too early to call. I don't want to bug people. Really, it's not too early. You just don't want to call people, so you're justifying it with the time. Because it's either too early, or people are eating lunch, or, well, now they just got back and they're just getting into business. Or, you know what, now they're at home with their family. I can't call them now. Like, dude, there's always an excuse not to get in front of people. And if you let your emotions dictate and justify, then you're always going to come up with excuses. I think the second thing is standards. You know, for me, I've been in the military long enough that you're not allowed to fail beyond a certain point. Like, they'll just keep you there all day until you get it done. I remember some PT sessions that I would run, we would always end it with 300 push-ups. And you got maybe 20 minutes to do that. Well, for some guys, it takes 8-10 minutes to do 300 push-ups. Cool. They got out of PT early. Other people sucked at push-ups, and they'd be there another 45 minutes. And they're like, Sergeant Rosen, this isn't fair. It's supposed to be an hour. I got to sit here an hour and a half because you pick push-ups. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, that, like, you know it's coming. We do this once or twice a week. You know I'm going to keep doing it. You can either work on your push-ups or you can fail. And they knew I was not going to bend. So after a while, it became the expectation. And honestly, all the complaining I got up front just slowly went away because people knew, like, well, I guess we're doing a ton of push-ups today.
It doesn't matter.
It just didn't matter. It just, they embraced the suck because there was no other option. But as soon as you lose whatever that is, mom, dad, your best friend, Sergeant Rosen, that standard goes away unless you maintain it yourself. And that's where discipline comes in. It's not motivation. You lose motivation. It's discipline. Yep. And I do stuff all day long that I don't want to do because it's on my calendar. And I know it's the smart thing to do.
Yeah. Hold on just a second, Joe. We're going to go. That's going to be taking the hill. Just bear with me 1 second. All right, people. I don't want to negate the fact that we're salespeople. And it's a little different with what we're talking about. But put yourself, actually take what we're talking about, because people, this isn't just for now. This isn't just for salespeople. This video might be watched, and honestly, I'll speak right to the camera. Boys, if you watch this in the future, I'm talking to my sons right now. Part of the reason I do this is for you. You deserve for me to do this for you so that you understand life's hard. No matter who you are, no matter what you're doing, life's hard. You have to decide within yourself, I'm going to do something different. People, if this is you and you're not in sales and you're like, what does this have to do with me? This is anything. Forget the boss, forget whoever's above you, forget your spouse, forget. It has to be driven from within you. You've seen what happens whenever you don't put in the effort, whether it be your marriage, whether it be the job, whether it be whatever relationship. Guess what the problem is? The problem's you. Right, Joe? I mean, it's always us. It's not the other person, because you can't change what everybody else does. Even if somebody's being unfair to you, so what? They're being unfair to everybody else. So suck it up and deal with it.
Yeah.
We have to come to the conclusion that if something is going to be different, it's got to be us.
Yep.
It's got to start with us. It's got to end with us. It's got to be like whenever Joe said on a call with this elderly lady for, I think it was 48 minutes, just because she needed to talk. Remember that conversation, Joe?
Yep.
48 minutes, just because he was doing his cold calls, but he knew that that's what she needed. Was that going to make him any money? No. But that's what I'm talking about. When something needs to be done, it needs to be done whether it fits what you think your schedule needs to be or not. It's the right thing to do. Maybe you need to go apologize to your spouse because you've been an idiot for the last year. And it doesn't matter what it is. See, the stuff that I'm putting out right now, people, is very little to do with business and real estate.
It's true.
Because I just told you why. Because a lot of the reason I'm doing this is for my boys. Because I'm not going to be around. You're not going to be around. Put yourself in my shoes. What would you do to make sure that whenever you're gone, that somebody has something to look at and go, wow, okay, well, if dad did it, or if mom did it, okay, I get it now. Because we're not going to be around. Joe talks about it all the time. Man, you're going to be dead before you know it, right, Joe? We're going to be dead before you know it. So what are we really doing? All we're really doing is making money, or all we're really doing is getting by and getting drunk and living for Saturday night, or what? You know, when you're young, that's what it is. But when you're young, older, you just want to take a break.
Yeah.
You want to be left alone. But that's not going to get you, not me. That's not going to get you where you want to be, because does anybody really want to be average? No. So now we're going to go into taking the hill, and let me just warn you. Right now, taking the hill sucks, because it's that grind. That's what we're getting ready to talk about, that mental grind of, okay, you've done a little preparation, but now it's time to go. And it's not, we're going to go a little bit, and then when it gets tough, we're going to quit. Joe, let me switch thanks for letting me go off for a minute.
Get it, my man.
Let's see here. There it is. So taking the hill, tell me about your B idea philosophy.
Yeah, well, I always say B plus, but we'll go with B's.
What is it?
I always say B plus, but I'm just giving
B plus. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to put the plus behind it.
It doesn't matter. The mentality sticks. So what I see when I talk with a lot of agents is that they talk a lot about all the great things they want to do. They ask a million questions. And at some point in my mind, I'm thinking, will you shut up and just implement what I just told you to do? Go fail a little bit, because we have different strengths and weaknesses. I'm going to rock at some things that you suck at. You're going to rock at some things that I'm horrible at. Just do it a little bit and call me in a week, and we'll readjust. But if you don't go make those, failures, we can't make the adjustments, because I don't know what you're good at and what you're not good at. Well, I'll usually let them go on and on and on, because I'm from Minnesota, so I'm a little nicer than I wish I was. But eventually I'm like, all right, shut up. Just the first two things you said, implement them. Well, Joe, I don't know if I've got the right marketing tools. I got to call Vistaprint. I'm like, dude, take your B plus idea and implement it, and you will crush whatever A plus idea you're thinking about all day long, because that A plus idea is never implemented. Just do it. And you'll see that I'm telling you, everybody I've ever known who's made 7-8 figures, they are not sitting there trying to hatch out an A plus idea. Yeah. They have a B plus idea, and they execute really fast with a load of massive action. And they fail on some of it. They succeed on others. They keep doing the successes, and they amend the failures and keep driving forward with even more massive action. Yeah. And I think and I wouldn't say even more interesting, but a very interesting question on top of that is, I'm picking on agents, but really it's anybody who needs to execute anything. Why are they talking and thinking so much? Is it truly because because they'll blame it on, well, I'm a perfectionist. I don't know if that's always true. Sometimes I think they're just scared, and they think that if they keep talking, they're justifying the fact that they're trying to work forward in their mind on how to get ahead by talking, by thinking. I'm gonna let this sit on the burner and think about it. And they're justifying the fact that they just don't want to get out and get rejected with the fact that, well, I'm going to make a really intelligent, well thought out decision. Mm-hmm. And I just cannot stress enough to these people, quit making great decisions. Just make good decisions and make them fast. Your great decisions are killing you.
Yeah. Yeah. Barbara Cochran.
Love her.
I think that's how Corcoran. How do you say her last name?
I don't know.
She's big on that. In other words, make the decision, move.
Yeah.
Get up fast. That was another thing. I watched a video. You're big on this too, right? Watching successful people and getting the thread. Man, there's such good stuff with that. Man, we could go on for days behind that. Self-awareness, people. Isn't it so hard? And sometimes you're too close to yourself. Maybe I don't know how else to put it. Sometimes you're too close to the situation. And once again, I'm going to take it out of sales. This has nothing to do with sales. This has to do with you. And if you're trying to achieve something, and the reason you're probably watching this is because you want to do something different. Don't we all want to do something different? Do a little better at it? Well, if you're too close to it, you're not going to be able to objectively look at the solution, or objectively look to the problem to see that you're the problem. Because right now you might not even see that you're the problem to get to a solution. So maybe it's your spouse, maybe it's your superior, maybe it's your boss, maybe it's your best friend, maybe it's, and if you don't have somebody, man, you better find somebody. You talked about that the other day, actually this morning, that you can be accountable for or accountable to. But find that person. It's worth it, because you're worth it. You're, I'm going to go scripturally, man, you are beautifully and wonderfully made, people. And it doesn't mean that the road's going to be easy. No, it's going to be hard. It's going to be so hard. 49 years old, man, I've failed so many times. It's not even funny. Like literally failed, not just a little bit of failed. But it's worth it. You're worth it. I'm going to move forward here real quick. Joe, when I say you've got a servant's heart, maybe you're just made that way. I do believe in that. I don't know how much you can teach somebody to care. You either care or you don't. I think there's givers and takers in this world, and there's not really much in between. From experience, I mean, you can dress it up, but people, if you let them talk long enough, they're going to tell them themselves, or they're going to show you who they are.
Yeah,
you are a giver, and I thank you for that. I don't think many people, I mean, they give you lip service and they give you a comment, right? I know you get millions of comments, but the action behind it, I'm trying to do that not only for myself, but for you, because of the time that you're putting in. That 1 minute man, that book, 1 Minute Manager, you don't put more than 3 things on somebody's plate. I don't know if you've read that book or not. That between that and Good to Great, right? That's 2 of the business books that changed my life the most. If you would talk right to the people here real quick. If you had 15 minutes or whatever amount of time to spend with somebody, and you can only talk about 3 things, and that was the last time you were going to talk to them, with your servant's heart, what would you talk to them about?
Are we talking business or just life?
That's up to you.
Not that I know it's any, a lot of it's the same. I would say this. Number one, whether it's business or life, I've been in the position where I literally thought about every minute invested. Is this the most profitable way to invest this minute? And I made a lot less money thinking that way than when I thought, how do I help the person in front of me the most? Don't listen to them, because some people are going to under ask because they don't want to take up too much of your time. Some people are going to under ask because they don't even know what to ask for. How do you give them what they actually will appreciate and need and benefit from in the long run, and just deliver on it? And sometimes that takes 2 minutes. Sometimes it takes a lot of emails and some phone calls, and it takes 3 weeks. But when you do it, even though the math is almost impossible to crunch, if you are the greediest person in the world and all you care about is money, I'm telling you, the best way to get it is to focus on truly helping people and not how much am I making per minute. I don't know the math. I can't tell you how it works. I just know I've done it and it works.
Yeah.
I'll tell you too, from a greedy standpoint, again, if you're greedy, it is so, and we all are, everybody's greedy, but it's greed for the right things that are going to feed your heart and help you sleep at night. I'm greedy in that I want to be known as the guy who gave the most for other people. Man, that's where I want my pride to lie. What a great place to put your pride, right? Yep. Versus making loads of money, and nobody cares about that. Cool, I get to be in what's the difference between the guy who makes $1 million and the guy who makes 75 grand? We're both going on vacation, but mine lasts 8 days and yours lasts 6. Mine, I got a little bit bigger pool. You got a smaller pool, right? I get the upgraded beer and you got to drink Miller Lite or what, I don't know. I'm not a beer drinker. It's just, we're all living the same life.
Yeah.
If you want to be addicted to something and you want to take pride in something, take pride in the things that you know you're going to be proud of when you're on your deathbed at 80, 90 years old. And I'm not going to care about how much money I made. All I'm going to care about is the impact I had on others' lives. And that's all I'm focused on, man. And when you focus on that, magically, if you like money, the money comes.
Yeah. Yeah, Zig Ziglar, right? Give enough people what they need, you'll never want for anything. I know I butchered that. Anything else, Joe, on that?
No, man, just I think that I would say too, fake it till you make it. A lot of us have gotten so ingrained in us that you need to sell and handle objections, and to get into the true giver's mindset takes time. It takes reps. It takes failure. It takes you being around other people doing it and seeing that, oh, their way's a little bit different than mine. I like their way better than I like mine. I'm going to shift my mindset a little bit. But if you're not attempting to engross yourself in that world, it's really hard to learn it, and it does take time. So if you don't feel it at first and you're like, I'm sorry, all I care about is the money. Everybody's like that. I was like that. But you will slowly change your mindset over time if you give it true effort and you put in the reps.
Yeah. People, Joe, thank you. Joe, the JoeRosenShow.com. This man, I don't know. Well, actually, I do know how he does it because he follows his schedule more than anybody I know. And he'll even tell you, man, if I follow my schedule 80%, man, I'm killing it.
Yeah.
But
true.
If you're looking for more information like this, not just motivation, processes, tools. He never asks a question and beats you up without giving you some type of solution to say, hey, go try this. He does it every morning. It freaks me out because he says, oh, yeah, I spent 5 minutes doing this. And I'm like, crap, that would have taken me an hour and a half to think of the stuff that he just thought of. But apparently he gets in great workouts. He'll tell you that too. I got a great workout. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm doing my best, Joe Rosen. But go check him out. Forget about real estate. Sure, if you're a real estate agent, man, it's a no-brainer. But if you just want to hear the heart of a servant and learn just some basic things, just to be a better person, he's going to try to help. And if you reach out to him, don't be surprised if he doesn't call you back, or that he at least sends you a little audio message that says, all right, hey, man, that's a great question. Let me see if I can answer that for you and get back to me. Let me talk right to the people again. Thank you for your time. What he's talking about is what I'm trying to build. Yes, I'm trying to build something so that I have a legacy to give to my children, so that if something happens, they don't have to worry about it, because we're all going to die one day. But if all I ever do is make money and I don't help people, man, I've failed miserably at this. Remember two things, and you know they're true. Number one, God loves you. And number two, you know I do as well. Until next time, have fun. Do something hard. Fail on your face, right? Just fail as hard as you possibly can. But remember, like she says, get up as quick as you can, get back to it again, and get ready, because you're going to fall down again. But that's all right. That's part of the process. Enjoy, my friends. Thank you again, Joe. So hold on here, because I want to visit with you. Hey, if you like what you're seeing, where's that thing? Woo! Where is it? Hit the subscribe. Where is it going? Thank goodness for editing, right? Hit the subscribe button. Ring that bell. Up there's the next place for the next video. Man, it's all for y'all, people. I hope you found productivity and some good nuggets for you today. You have a good one. Bye-bye. And in program.